I'm walking to Tamade, or Super Tamade, which is a discount supermarket in the Osaka region, and it's got quite the reputation for a number of reasons. First are the crazy bright neon lights on the outside and inside of the stores. You'll see when we get there, but it's a crazy decor choice, and they can feel more like amusement parks or arcades because of this. This matches up with the image that a lot of people do have about Osaka, which is said to be more bright and colourful than other cities like Tokyo. But the second thing that's a little odd too is the name. Tama means ball and de means to leave, so it almost sounds like something you'd see at a pachinko parlour when you're playing pachinko. Now if you don't know what pachinko is, it's kind of like a pinball-esque game that people use for gambling over here. And so this kind of combines with the arcade aesthetic that Tamade have got going on. But I did do some research and the actual explanation is a bit more boring. Tamade is just a region in Osaka, and that's where the first store was, I think. So they obviously just ran with the name. The area is in Nishinari, one of the poorer parts of Osaka and Japan in general, so it does make sense that it was a discount supermarket. But then of course also the quality is seen as not great by a lot of locals, which makes sense. There's also the fact that most Tamade are open 24/7, so you can go any time of the day and just get assaulted by the neon lights, even at night. But that does explain why a lot of them are quite dirty, which again we'll see when we get there. They're also known for having 1 yen sales. Now, 1 yen is even less than 1 penny or 1 cent. It's basically nothing. So these are loss leaders just to get people through the door. So you'll probably be starting to build up an image of what kind of supermarket this is. But there are some pretty dark stories around the brand too. I'm pretty sure they've been in violation of workers' rights multiple times, overworking their staff, sometimes to the point of real illness and then even death maybe. And then there was a scandal that came out in 2018 that basically associated the then boss and founder of the company with some really dodgy sexual type things happening at one specific store, and even implicated him with some links to the Yakuza. It was all over the news at that time, but from what I can see now, not too much came of it for this guy, apart from he had to leave the company and retire. Anyway, the whole brand has definitely got a very Osaka, rough and ready, down and dirty, but also really bright and gaudy feel. Now, near my Airbnb, I can see this sign which is pointing to a Tamade, apparently, but I've had a few walks around here and I can't find a branch. However, I have been to the Niku no Hanamasa. You'll know that if you've been watching all my videos on this channel. And someone commented on that video saying that's where Tamade used to be, which makes sense because I've had a look online and I've seen that the two brands are actually in some kind of partnership now, meaning they'll carry some of the same products and even transfer some stores between them, which looks like what's happened here. It used to be a Tamade, but now it's a Niku no Hanamasa, and they just haven't taken down the big Tamade sign yet. But the direction I'm walking in right now is towards South Osaka, and I'm getting further and further away from the glitz of Namba behind me and into one of the poorer regions of Japan basically. I do want to do some more videos exploring this area because I do find it interesting, but if you can look up ahead and see that in the distance, it looks like we've arrived at Tamade. So how's that for a storefront? Loads of neon lights and Super Tamade in big letters, and then the sunflower logo, 24-hour sale, and then it says Gekiyasu on the left, which means dirt cheap. So here we are, coming up to the entrance. This group of people in front of me tried it, but it's actually locked. So we had to go through the exit, and that was fine, but it meant starting at the back of the supermarket. Already you can probably see it's kind of weird looking, at least compared to other Japanese supermarkets I've been in. The black ceiling I find is an odd choice, especially contrasted against the neon lights. But you might see here the neon lights inside, they're not actually on, which is a real shame. But don't worry, because I'm going to go to another one shortly after this in this same video. But you can see the signs, they're just faded, where it says Osozai there. We can see some bentos with the yellow discount sticker on, but I'm not tempted to try one. I've read online that some people get a dodgy tummy from eating tamade or swordsai. So, well, to be honest, I do pick up some taiyaki in a bit, but it didn't taste great, spoiler alert. Anyway, I had a quick look around. I really wasn't inspired to pick any of these osordzai up. The floor's just dirty and bedraggled, and I was really disappointed the neon lights weren't on, because that's one of the main reasons that I came. But I came over to this freezer section, and as I was saying earlier, they've now got that partnership with Niku no Hanamasa, and if you've seen that video you might remember this brand. It's called Kuro Shio, so they're obviously sharing these products. Now they're in partnership together. Lots of drinks on the left. And yeah, just the neon signs being off. I don't know why they're off. Maybe they're broken, or maybe it's for cost saving, but that is one of the big draws of Tamade. There are a few on a pillar in the distance. It's just gone out of shop, but got some fish on the left. Again, some local people I've read online, they don't bother buying the fish or the meat from Tamade because they don't trust its quality. Going past the mayonnaise here. This kind of packaged food on the left and right here would be fine to buy, of course, and you might get it a bit cheaper here. And now we're arriving at the fresh section, the fruit and veg section, and things are generally a bit cheaper, and the quality is okay, I think. We've got all the leeks and the shiso leaves. We got some mushrooms, some daikon, some hakusai. And yeah, I wouldn't have any problems buying this stuff. In fact, I do. I'll pick some stuff up in a bit. I grabbed some items at this store, and one thing I do need is sweet potatoes, satsumaimo. So I grabbed those. 321 yen. That is a little bit cheaper than other supermarkets I've been to. And then some onions here. Bear in mind the prices written on these little signs, they are without tax. So I'm including the prices with tax at the bottom of the screen if you see a little discrepancy. And then I did find something which I've wanted to try for a really long time actually. So these are ampogaki. So kaki means persimmon, and I'm a big fan of persimmons when they're fresh. And I saw these dried persimmons on a TV show once, and I thought they look really nice and interesting. So they're quite expensive. Definitely the most expensive item in my basket on this trip. And then I needed some snack type things, or some crackers, some senbei. So I was having a look around this shelf, which was really a bit tricky to get to, you might have seen. So the customer experience isn't that great, just boxes everywhere, you know. But that's what you get with a place like this. Pota potayaki, they were shoyu flavour. Not the biggest fan of soy sauce flavour crackers. I prefer salada crackers, which these are. Usuyaki, I don't know what that means, but I'm going to try them. I do like salada senbei, which means they've been cooked in salada oil, which is just basically like a seed oil or a plant-based oil. And then some bananas. Can't really go wrong with bananas, can you? And not too bad of a price. 192 yen there. But yeah, I was feeling a little bit annoyed that the lights weren't on, and I wanted to go and find somewhere else where they were on. And this supermarket was just not a nice place to be. As I say, in Japan you're used to everything feeling really nice and clean and pleasant, but this just wasn't. So I came to the checkout and got my stuff. The lady, she wasn't Japanese. I could tell that from the way she spoke. She put everything. And I wanted to pay with card, but she was like, oh, you'll have to go over there if you want to pay with card. And I was like, cash is fine. So here we go, she's just getting my change and my receipt. And then we're off to the packing area to pack these things up. And then we'll go and see what we can find, because there are loads of Tamade around here. So we're going to go and try and find another one where the lights are on. So just put my basket back, and then let's go for Tamade number 2. Now on the way I thought you might find this interesting. Have you seen the Simpsons episode where Homer eats the blowfish that poisons him? So these are blowfish. I'm outside a fugu restaurant and you can, I guess, pick one from the tank in the window there. Here's the sign and the menu. But it was on to Tamade. I'd put it into Google Maps to see which ones were nearby and quite a few came up. I decided to head to this one at Ebisu, and I don't know if you can see, we're still quite a ways off, but in the distance there's the big flashing red arrow, which is flashing in this shot. This is an interesting area, loads of karaoke bars and hotels and lots of foreigners as well. And when we get to this Tamade, it's mostly foreigners, including myself in that, of course. So yeah, I've just skipped ahead a bit now and we're quite a bit closer, and you should be able to see it just on the left there. And here we go, here's the storefront. Not quite as massive as the other one, but we will find inside that the signs are on. Some t-shirts in the window there. We'll see them at the end. Just got to grab a basket. Sign for Walt there, which is like their version of Deliveroo. And here we are inside. And I had a quick peep up ahead and I could see that the neon signs were indeed on, which made me happy. And we came through the entrance, so we are starting in the fruit and veg section, as you should. There we go, the money shot. Vegetable in neon lights. I don't know, I find this aesthetic really interesting, especially contrasted with the black ceiling. It really does work. I'd actually been to a Tamade years ago in Osaka before I really knew what it was, and it's the kind of feel that you just never forget. I just know I've been because I remember being in the supermarket before and I was like, this feels weird with its black ceiling and neon lights, and now I know a bit more about it, the good and the bad. But I'm going to pick up a few more things from this branch. So I'm just coming towards the pickles and the natto. Had a look at this brand. Didn't want that one. So grabbed one of these. Down there. Natto. So cheap. 105 yen for 3 little blocks. I buy it every time I go to the supermarket pretty much. And then I came over because I needed some oil. I usually get olive oil. Just like pretty much every other country in the world, olive oil prices here are still really expensive. Although I did read an article that said they're about to go down because they've just had the new season or the new harvest in the Mediterranean. Here I'm pointing at Sarada Yu. It's something I mentioned when I was at the last branch. That's that plant-based oil that's quite popular here. And I'm just thinking here, should I spend all this money on the olive oil? And yeah. I don't really show it to the camera, but I go for it. £8, 1,500 yen, yeah. As I say, hopefully the prices are going to go down soon. That's what I read on the internet anyway. And then up ahead, this neon light is just crazy in the meat and fish section. I guess they know their meat and fish aren't great, so they've got to put this really just crazy neon. What even is it? It's like a futuristic city with spaceships and UFOs. I did read that the first Tamade opened in 1992, and I feel like all this decor was just decided then, and they've never once decided to change it. It does feel really retro. It is a bit like stepping back in time, for sure. There we go, another shot of that whole section from a bit further away. But I did prefer this branch for sure. The neon signs were on and it was just a bit more clean and a bit less depressing. There were more people here too. Most of them were gaijin, seemed like. Yeah, I do get the impression a lot of their customer base is non-Japanese people, because Japanese people just know the game and perhaps know their reputation. As I said, it was in the news for some quite bad stuff in the past. But here we are in the Osozai section. Again, not a lot to choose from because it's the late evening, but that's probably just as well. And then I came down this aisle. I was looking, I think, for some senbei at this point, but I couldn't find some plain senbei. I could see more of the usuyaki, which I bought in the other store, some ebi flavour and salada flavour. But then we've got, if you can see in the top right, Pocari Sweat. I believe that's powder to make your own Pocari Sweat. Pocari Sweat is like an electrolyte drink over here that's pretty popular, even though it sounds really weird, obviously. Now we're in the dried fruit and nuts section. About to get some world nuts with some very 80s packaging. Some almonds there, and I wanted some cashews as well. You might be able to see just up above, there's dried squid. And then some raisins. Not too bad at 149, but there aren't many raisins in there, to be honest. Thought about getting some little hot cakes, but looked at the ingredients and didn't bother in the end. And you might be able to hear on the speakers now. Speaking of the 80s, we've got some Whitney Houston playing with I Wanna Dance With Somebody. Obviously, big banger. Really goes with the loud aesthetics. And then here, something I've spoken about before on this channel, tiny tins of beans, or tiny tins of anything. It annoys me a bit. They're just not big enough, you know, to make any meal. They're okay if you're making a small salad or something, but I don't know. Anyway, we're back in the drinks section here, and I wanted to pick some of this stuff up, which I always do. One of my favourite drinks. It's like a vegetable and fruit juice. I used to get it when I first came to Japan back in 2008, and they haven't changed the packaging since. It is good packaging though, very colourful. And then against my better judgment, I came to this section and picked up a taiyaki, which is like a pastry snack, which you normally buy fresh. So it's a really nice, fresh pastry flavour. It's got anko, the red bean paste inside. But when I got that home and tried it, it had soaked up all the flavours of the surrounding bento boxes and things like that, and it just tasted of actual fish, which is not what you want, even though it's in the shape of a fish. So I won't be buying taiyaki again from here. Then this guy popped up and he was like, come down here. So I did, couldn't see him right at the end there. Just asking if I want a bag there. Sometimes when they see you're a foreigner, they just kind of point at things, which is nice and helpful, I guess. I did want to check that they did take card after what happened at the last store, and they did indeed. But again, he's moving everything from my basket to a red one, and then he does get me a bag. They're just 3 yen each here. And then I'm just paying by card, and we just wait for the receipt. Pick up my other bag of stuff from my first Tamade trip. I did have the receipt, of course, if anyone asked me what all those things in the other bag were. So I'm just packing my stuff now. As we can see, we've got t-shirts and bags here pinned against the window. I don't know if you'd want to wear a t-shirt though, or if you should. If you know anything about them and their court cases, not the kind of thing you want to proudly wear, I don't think. But anyway, that's enough Tamade for today. It's time to head back to the Airbnb and go through the shopping haul. Okay, so let's go over the haul that I got from Tamade, the 2 different branches. So this was the first one, if you remember. I've got some usuyaki, I don't know what they are, some kind of cracker. I imagine it's like senbei, salada as well. Got some banana, some sweet potato, satsumaimo, some onions, tamanegi, and then some dried kaki, dried persimmon, which I've always seen, and I love persimmons when they're not dried, when they're in the natural state. So I'm really looking forward to trying these. And all that came to 1,612 yen, which is £8.24 in pounds, which is okay, not too bad. I guess, how much were they? Yeah, they were like literally half of the whole bill. They were 718 yen. So, bit of a luxury item, but like I say, I'm looking forward to those. And then we come over to the second branch that had the lights on. We've got 2 packets of raisins, a packet of almonds, and a packet of cashews back there. We've got this juice, which I always have, I really like it. We've got 3 blocks of natto. We've got some olive oil, which again is by far the most expensive thing on the list. That was about 1400 yen on its own, which is about £7. And then to finish it off, we've got some fresh taiyaki, and altogether that comes to nearly 3,000 yen, 2,849, which is about £14.50. Again, not too bad. So in total, I've spent about £23 there. In yen, that's, what is it? It's about 4,500 yen in total. That's not bad to say I've got 2 luxury items in there. In fact, it's really cheap now that I'm thinking about it. So at the end of these videos, sometimes I try the food that I've bought, but I've already eaten tonight. It's quite late now, and that's one of the benefits of Tamade. You can go 24 hours. So I'm not going to try these. This is going to be the end of the video. But thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.